sky above is deep and endless, stars scattered like glowing seeds. The moon is round and heavy with light, silvering the fields below. Everything is quiet, the kind of quiet that only happens when the whole world is holding its breath. Starlight giggled as she stumbled through the tall, flower-dusted grass, her tiny brown paws damp with dew. Her pink eyes shone like twin stars as she turned back towards the glowing blur of wings drifting just behind her. "Solus, you're too slow," she teased breathlessly. Solus hovered calmly, perfectly composed as always, a serene smile on their face. "You're the one who ran ahead again." "Because it's perfect up here tonight." Starlight twirled in place, petals clinging to her fur. "The stars are out, the moon is huge, and no one else is awake. Just us." Solus tilted their head. "Just us," they repeated softly. Starlight dropped onto her haunches at the top of the low hill, legs tired, but heart still racing. "Don't you wish this could stay forever?" she asked, voice hushed. "You and me, under the sky, always?" Solus didn't answer right away. They lowered themselves slowly, hovering at her side. "You say that every time we go out," they murmured. "Because I mean it every time." Starlight looked up at them, her eyes pink, wide, and earnest. "You're the best part of everything, Solus. I don't want to be without you. Ever." Solus's expression softened, but in a way that seemed almost distant. Their smile didn't quite reach their eyes. Starlight inched closer. "I know I talk too much. I know I can get silly, and I'm small, and I'm not as pretty as you, and I trip over my own paws, but—" her voice cracked, heart hammering. "But I want to be enough for you. I want to be someone you'd keep." Solus's smile flickered, uncertain. And that was when it happened. Her chest filled, flooded, with so much feeling it couldn't stay inside. Not fear, not desperation, just everything. Affection, wonder, the kind of love a child can feel. Raw, absolute, without caution or fear of being too much. That light bloomed from her like it had been waiting, soft at first, then growing brighter, pure moonlight pink. Starlight gasped, paws lifting slightly off the ground as the glow swirled around her. It felt like wind and warmth and being known all at once. Solus floated back a little, wings fluttering faster, not in fear, just surprise. The light intensified, then burst outward like starlight rippling across the hill. And where the small, clumsy Evie once sat, there now stood something quietly radiant. Starlight had become an Umbreon, but not like any Umbreon that had come before. Her fur shimmered a rich, velvety lavender black, catching the moonlight with a soft sheen. Her ears and tail were tipped with glowing pink stripes, bright and smooth like satin ribbon. On each of her legs, a single, pink, heart-shaped mark pulsed faintly, warm like soft embers. But for the most striking part, 5 small, pink, heart-shaped marks were set across her chest, arranged in a gentle arc like a string of glowing jewelry. Each one shimmered in rhythm with her breath, as though her heart was wearing its truth on the outside. Starlight blinked down at herself, stunned. Did I? Solus hovered in silence, eyes wide. "You evolved." The words felt strange, hollow. Starlight turned in a slow circle, tail flicking with new weight, her eyes full of wonder. This is me? The wind moved softly through the grass. Starlight looked to Solus again, eyes shining. Do you like it? She asked, voice trembling. I'm still me, just more now, just more, for you. There was a pause, barely a second, and then Solus smiled, perfect, polished. You're beautiful, they said, but there was a flicker, barely there, behind their eyes, a flicker Starlight couldn't name. The pink marks on her chest glowed a little brighter, like they were trying to hold her steady. Solus drifted closer, reaching out to brush a speck of pollen from her shoulder. You're very special, Starlight. And though the words were kind, for the first time, they didn't feel warm. Starlight bounded in circles near her home, full of bright, crackling energy. Her sleek new form shimmered in the low light, a soft, black Umbreon coat, just a shade lighter than usual, offset by rosy pink rings on her ears and tail, heart-shaped marks on each leg, and 5 soft, pink hearts across her chest, glowing gently like a necklace spun from affection. She twirled on the tips of her paws, laughing as Tuflebebe gasped from a distance. Wow, look at her markings! She looks like a moonlight princess. Starlight giggled, clearly flustered but delighted, her tail swishing. I'm not a princess. I just kind of shined really hard. She evolved from love, piped a young cutie fly, eyes wide. My mama said she's the first Umbreon like this. Can I touch your tail ring? Asked another. You can look at it, Starlight squeaked, half laughing. Behind her, Solus floated in still air, wings beating slowly. They hovered near a flowering bush, just far enough out of the circle that no one noticed them. Or rather, everyone chose not to. Laughter surrounded Starlight. Compliments, questions, more Pokemon drifting in from nearby groves to peek at her. The Umbreon with hearts in her chest and the moonlight in her smile. And Solus, who had once been the center of every gaze, was now just the one standing next to her. A group of fairy types brushed past them, only one of them nodding politely towards the Rabombi before turning their full attention to Starlight. You're amazing, said a Whimsicott. So unique. Are you going to be named something now? Like a title? Starlight fidgeted under all the attention, but couldn't stop grinning. I don't know. Maybe I should ask my dads. That was when Cross and Luciv finally stepped out from the tree line, having watched from a respectful distance. Luciv smiled wide at the scene, proud but wary. She's glowing again. Cross didn't smile. His eyes were on Solus. The Rabombi hadn't moved. Their wings beat in a slow, deliberate rhythm. Their scarf fluttered in the breeze. But their expression was carefully blank, like something held beneath a glass surface. Luciv followed his gaze and tilted his head slightly. You see it too? Yeah, Cross said quietly. That smile's painted on. Solus's antennae twitched as one more Pokemon rushed past them, bumping their wing in the process and not even apologizing. Not even seeing them. They looked back to Starlight, who now had a circle of admirers, laughing and glowing under their praise. Her tail wagged, her eyes sparkled, but her gaze flicked to Solus for only a moment. And in that moment, something flickered in Solus's eyes. Not hurt, not jealousy. Possession, unsettled. As if something they owned, without question, had become something that shined too bright, too far from their reach. Cross stepped forward just enough to let his presence be known, not to interrupt, just to shift the balance. Solus noticed. Their wings fluttered a little higher. Lucive remained still, watching them, not with suspicion, but caution. "She hasn't noticed yet," he murmured. "She will," Cross said. Solus finally floated back towards the edge of the clearing, eyes still locked on Starlight. Watching. Waiting. Smiling. Starlight had been up early again, chasing the dew trails left by flitting cutie fly and helping her dads weave hanging lights for an upcoming moon festival. Her pink heart marks glowed faintly in the soft morning sun, and she couldn't help but hum to herself, content, even if still a little overwhelmed by the attention. But she didn't see the way a few passing Pokemon whispered after she trotted by. She didn't see how two Swirlix frowned slightly, murmuring just out of earshot, or how a pair of Flabebe turned towards Solus with uncertain glances. Earlier that morning, near a shaded gathering spot tucked beneath a blossom tree, Solus floated among a small group, just a few early risers. Their tone was casual, sweet, like someone only reluctantly sharing something. "I just worry, you know?" Solus said softly, wings fluttering in measured rhythm. "She's so sensitive. All this attention? It's a lot." The Clefairy beside them nodded slowly. "She's still just a child, really." "Exactly," Solus said, carefully plucking a flower from a vine. "And she tries so hard to be liked. All that sparkle and spinning. It's not always stable. I just hope someone's keeping her grounded." The others murmured in agreement. Nothing harsh, nothing scandalous, just enough. Later, they found another pair, a gossip-prone Swirlix and an easily impressed Mawile. "I mean, it's lovely that she evolved like that," Solus said, smile serene. "But evolution from emotion? That can be unpredictable. You know how feelings are, especially in young ones." They leaned in just slightly, like they were sharing something hard to say. "Sometimes, when Pokemon evolve from unstable emotions, it doesn't always last. The form stays, but the focus, it drifts." The Swirlix gasped. "You think she'll unravel?" "Oh, no," Solus said quickly. "Not necessarily. Just, it's happened before." And then came the seeded phrase, carefully chosen, seemingly innocent. "Maybe it was just a reaction to being seen for once." They left before questions could be asked. Later that day, back at the clearing, Starlight twirled playfully under a low arch of vines while Cross and Lucive set up string lights nearby. She waved to a passing group of young Pokemon, but noticed, for the first time, their hesitation. One of them waved back slowly, another whispered to a friend and turned away. Starlight slowed, ears flicking. Her paws touched the ground. Her smile faltered just a little. Lucive noticed immediately. "Something wrong, Star?" She forced a grin. "No, maybe they're just busy." She didn't see Solus sitting in the shade, just beyond the tree line, watching, quiet, a carefully unreadable expression on their face. Cross saw, though, and as Solus turned to drift away, Cross narrowed his eyes. "She's shifting the wind," he murmured to Luciv. Luciv followed his gaze. "With petals in her pockets." Starlight padded softly along a winding trail just beyond the meadow. Her paw steps slower than usual. The sunlight peeked through the petals above, dappling her dark fur with gold and pink. Her glowing heart marks had dimmed today. Not faded, just quieter. She noticed the way Pokemon had started looking at her. Or not looking at her. Less wow, more oh. She hadn't seen Solus all day. They usually found her by now. So she followed the breeze. It led her to a cluster of voices. She paused behind a flowering shrub, ears perked. Familiar tones. Sweet, musical. Solus. "I'm just saying," came their voice, low and sympathetic. "It's sweet that she evolved the way she did, but it doesn't mean she's ready." A pause. A soft hum from someone else. Curious. Eager. "She always seems happy," another voice said. "Kind of intense, though." Solus sighed dramatically. "She tries to be, but it's a lot to carry when everyone suddenly notices you. She never had attention before. Now, she just doesn't know how to handle it. I mean, the heart markings? It's a little theatrical." A small laugh. "You're not jealous, are you?" "Oh, no," Solus replied sweetly. "I'm her friend. I encouraged her to shine. I just think some Pokemon confuse emotion with meaning. Not all light is steady." The others murmured in agreement. Starlight didn't move. Her legs had gone stiff, her ears trembling, her mouth dry. The wind picked up, brushing petals through the air, but her paws stayed rooted in place. "I encouraged her to shine. It's a little theatrical." Her tail curled close to her legs. She didn't know what to call the feeling blooming in her chest. Too sharp for confusion, too deep for sadness. Not quite anger. Not yet. But the edges were forming. Carefully, quietly, she backed away. Step by step, until she was far enough to run. Cross and Luciv looked up as Starlight returned, panting, tail low and legs scraped. She'd tripped once on the way back. She didn't mention it. "Hey, whoa." Cross crouched beside her, inspecting a bruise. "What happened?" Starlight just blinked up at him, eyes wide and pink, but glassy. "If someone says nice things, and then says other things when you're not around, is the first part still true?" Luciv froze, eyes flicking to Cross. Cross gently touched her cheek. "What did you hear, little star?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she leaned into his paw and closed her eyes. "I think I was shiny because I loved someone really hard. And maybe now they don't love me back the same. So maybe I should stop glowing." Luciv knelt beside her and pulled her into his arms, holding her close. "No," he said, quiet but firm. "You don't ever stop glowing because someone else is scared of your light." Cross looked over his shoulder, towards the meadow, jaw tight. "I think it's time we talk about Solus," he muttered. Wrapped in her dad's arms, Starlight let herself breathe again. Her chest rose slowly, pressing against Cross's side, and as she exhaled, the 5 soft pink heart marks across her chest flickered, not brightly, not proudly, but gently, like a lantern still burning after a long night. She blinked up at them, pink eyes rimmed in quiet tears.
Does it mean something bad? That I kinda still hope she comes back?
Luciv's smile didn't waver. He leaned in, pressing his forehead gently to hers. "No, sweetheart," he murmured. "It means your heart's still yours." Cross's paw rested between her shoulder blades, grounding. "There's no shame in wanting someone to choose you, but what matters is what you do when they don't." Starlight looked down at her paws.
I still want to shine.
Cross gave a soft huff. "Then shine for yourself." Luciv nodded, thumb brushing a petal out of her fur. "Shine because it feels good, because it's you, not because someone might look your way if you glow hard enough." Starlight nodded slowly, then turned to curl against them both, finally allowing her body to sag with the weight of everything she'd been holding. No more pretending, no more guessing, just warmth, steady, safe, and real. Above them, stars blinked in silent witness, and in the arms of the 2 Pokemon who had never once asked her to be anything but herself, Starlight rested, no longer trying to glow for someone else, but still glowing all the same. Near the Blossom Circle, Solace hovers in a soft cluster of Flablebe, Clefairy, and a few juvenile Ralts, their wings shimmering, their voice low and warm, carefully spun, as always.
It's just... she was so different before evolution. More grounded. Now, I worry that she's letting the attention shape her. Not who she is, but what people want her to be. You know? Didn't you help her evolve, though?
One of the Flablebe asks, uncertain. Solace sighs like it pains them.
Yes, but that's why I know. She's sweet, but she's fragile. She always needed someone to hold her center.
A voice cuts through the clearing, calm, firm.
No, I didn't.
The gathered Pokemon turn. Starlight stands at the edge of the group, her dark coat catching the sunlight. Her pink, heart-shaped markings glow softly against her sleek fur, and her eyes, those bright pink eyes, are steady.
"I didn't need anyone to hold me together," she says. "I needed someone to let me be whole."
Solace's smile remains, but tightens at the edges.
"Starlight, this is a private conversation."
"No," Starlight replies, stepping forward.
"You made me public. You've been telling pieces of our story to strangers, so I'll finish the whole of it."
There's a ripple of silence. Starlight turns to the others.
"Solace was my friend when no one else was. They told me I was special, that I sparkled, and I believed them."
She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to.
"They gave me attention like it was a gift only they could offer, and I loved them for it. I thought, if I loved them enough, maybe they'd stay."
She meets Solace's eyes.
"But they didn't want me to shine brighter, just close."
Solace's voice sharpens.
"I gave you everything. You gave me affection with strings.
You told me I was your favorite, then made sure I stayed small enough to need you. And when I evolved, when I started being seen, you evolved because I made you feel something. Solus snaps. That power, that light, that was mine. You're still glowing because I gave you the spark. Gasps break from the group. Starlight? A Clefairy says gently. Is that true? No, Starlight says, stepping closer, eyes never leaving Solus's. I evolved because I overflowed, because I loved someone so hard it broke my shape. Solus's wings flutter fast now, agitated. And you think that's real growth? You think that makes you wise? You're a child, Starlight. You're a product of my attention. If they look at you now, it's because I handed you to them. You handed me nothing, Starlight says, voice low. You tried to keep me quiet, keep me soft, keep me spinning around you like I owed you something. Solus's voice rises. You did. After everything I did for you, after I made you special. You didn't make me special. Starlight cuts in. She takes one more step forward, her heart marks glowing bright, bold. I always was. Silence. Not fearful, but thick, heavy. Around them, the other Pokemon begin to shift, step back. Eyes no longer curious, now unsettled. Some step closer to Starlight, others exchange glances. The spell Solus once held over the clearing had finally cracked. Why are you all looking at me like that? Solus asks, voice high. You all believed me before, and we trusted you cared, murmurs a Flabebe. But now it feels like you needed her small to feel big. I guided her, Solus says, the last pieces of charm falling from their voice like brittle leaves. And she twisted it into betrayal. No, Starlight says, quiet and strong. I took the parts of myself you liked, and I grew them into something you couldn't control. That isn't betrayal. That's freedom. Solus hovers still, wings buzzing, but no one defends them now. Not one voice rises. And slowly, Solus looks around and realizes they're alone in a circle full of witnesses, still seen, but not in the way they wanted. The last of the gathered Pokemon have stepped back, caught between discomfort and disbelief. The meadow is quiet, except for the wind and the frantic buzz of Solus's wings. Starlight stands alone in the middle of the clearing, heart-marked chest rising and falling steadily, but her calm is like the still center of a storm. Solus, across from her, is anything but calm. You were supposed to need me, they snarl, voice sharp, high-pitched now. You were supposed to fall apart when I left. Starlight's eyes flicker, hurt, but steady. I made you feel special, Solus continues, almost breathless. I gave you someone to orbit. I whispered everything you wanted to hear, and you believed me. They circle her now, spiraling tighter, wings shedding pollen like sparks. I told you your dads didn't get you, that they only liked the easy part of you. You started pulling away. I saw it. You were halfway gone. Behind the tree line, Cross's ear twitched. He hears the voice. He and Luciv exchange a look and break into a run. Back in the clearing, Solus is no longer speaking to an audience. It's just her and Starlight. Every time you smiled at me, it made you so easy to move. Solus hisses.
I told you that other Pokemon didn't really care. I told you that I was the one who would understand. I pulled you apart and rewrote what you thought love was.
You made me doubt myself, Starlight says quietly. You made me question the ones who loved me.
I had to,
Solus screams.
because they got to love you first. Because they had all of you, and I only ever got the part that I shaped.
She's shaking now, wings erratic, eyes wide.
I needed to be the reason you glowed. I had to be.
Footsteps. 2 sets. Starlight didn't look back, but her chest rises a little easier now. Solus didn't notice Cross and Luciv arriving at the edge of the clearing. She keeps spiraling, voice rising with every breath.
I gave you my time, my pollen, my petal, and you still ran back to them. You should have broke when I left. You should have crumbled.
Luciv takes a half step forward. Cross lifts a paw. Not yet. Starlight lifts her head. Her eyes are gleaming now, not with fear, but fierce clarity. You tried to take me apart, she says softly, so I would only fit in your hands. Solus stares, frozen in midair, mouth open, stunned into silence. But I remembered who held me before you ever tried to carry me. She turns, slowly, deliberately, and walks towards the trees, towards Cross and Luciv, now fully visible. The moment Solus sees them, the illusion shatters.
You're still clinging to them?
She shrieks.
After everything I gave you, after I showed you what they didn't see.
Cross steps forward then. She's not clinging. Luciv's voice follows, gentle but unyielding. She's coming home. Solus's eyes widen.
She believes you. Still. Even now.
Starlight turns back one last time, voice firm and quiet. I believed you too, until I learned the difference between love and control. And this time, when she walks away, Solus doesn't stop her. She doesn't fly after her, doesn't speak. She just stays, hovering there, alone, exposed, unraveled. Later, back in the quiet of their den, Cross gently places a cup of cool water beside her. Luciv wraps a soft leaf cloth around her shoulders. No one rushes to speak. The silence is comforting now. Starlight clutches the old pink petal in her paw. She really thought I would break, she whispers.
You didn't,
Cross says. She worked so hard to make me doubt you, she adds, looking up at them both. And for a while, I did. Luciv kneels beside her. You found your way back. That matters more. She looks down at the petal. I think I want to let it go. Cross and Luciv say nothing, just nod. Starlight rises and steps outside. The moon is low, the wind is soft. She holds the petal up to the sky, then opens her paw. The breeze takes it gently, lifting it into the air, letting it drift, like it was never meant to stay. The warmth of the fire has softened to an ember glow. The night is quiet, the outside wind hushed like it's listening. Starlight steps back inside the den, her paws still damp with dew. She settles herself beside the low flame hearth, curling her tail around her legs. Her heart-shaped markings pulse gently across her chest, dim and peaceful. Luciv sets aside the half-braided satchel he was working on. Cross doesn't say anything at first, but his gaze lingers on her, watching with the quiet steadiness of someone who's never looked away once. Luciv is the first to speak. "We've been thinking," he says gently, "about something important. Something for you." Starlight tilts her head. "What kind of something?" Cross leans forward, elbows resting on his knees. "Travel." Her ears twitch. Luciv's voice stays soft. "Not to run, not because of what happened, but because we think there's more for you beyond the plains. Things that are yours to find." Starlight's tail stills. She blinks once, twice. "You want me to leave?" Cross sits up straighter. "No. Stars, no," Luciv says quickly, reaching out instinctively. "We're not sending you away." "But you said—" Her voice cracks, a little smaller now. "You said I've outgrown this place." "You've outgrown what's held you back," Cross clarifies. "Not us. Never us." Starlight breathes in, slow, shaky. "Then why?" Luciv holds her gaze. "Because we think it's time you found the rest of your story." Cross exchanges a glance with him, then speaks. "We've never kept the truth from you, Star. We just waited for when it felt right." She stares at them both, and that's when Luciv reaches behind the shelf, carefully lifting down a worn cloth pouch. Inside it, an old folded note, faded but protected. "We were given an egg," Luciv says. "Not born to us, but wanted all the same." Cross continues. "It was Team Respite who brought you here. They asked us, and 2 others, if we'd be willing to raise an egg in need of a home." "You weren't alone," Luciv says softly. "There were 2 more." Starlight's ears press forward, eyes wide. "Others like me?" "Your siblings," Cross confirms. "Triplets, they said. You were separated before hatching. The others were given to different homes. Safe ones." Starlight's chest tightens, her heart marks flickering faintly. "We didn't know if we'd ever cross paths again," Luciv adds. "So we promised to raise you with all the love we had, and hope the others were given the same." Starlight presses a paw to her chest. "Their names?" "Their names are Storm and Esper," Cross says. "One was taken to the fog-shrouded basin, the other to the mossy forest." Luciv meets her eyes again. "We don't know what they're like now, who they've become, but we think maybe it's time you went looking." Starlight swallows. "You really think I could find them?" "We believe," Luciv says, placing the folded note in her paw, "that you will." She holds it like it's a star pulled from the sky. For a moment, she says nothing. Then, "I thought for a second that you didn't want me anymore." Cross is beside her in an instant. "You're our moonbeam," he says, voice low but steady. "Not a guest, not a burden. Ours." Luciv pulls her gently into his arms, nuzzling her gently between the ears. "And wherever you go, you carry that with you." She presses her face into his shoulder. "I
want to find them, she whispers. I want to know what kind of light they carry.
And they'll be lucky, Lucive says, to be found by you.